Hello and welcome. You're watching Head to Head on UATV. I'm Oles Gerjuk. This time we are talking about Ukraine-Georgia cooperation. Currently, the Ukrainian delegation is paying a visit to Tbilisi, aiming at strengthening economic relations between the two countries. To get the details of what is happening in the Georgian capital, we are joined via Skype by Natalia Mykolska. She is Deputy Minister of Economic Development and Trade of Ukraine. Moreover, she is one of the members of the delegation. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Ms. Mykolska, what's the agenda of this visit to Tbilisi?
First of all, it is the first visit of Prime Minister of Ukraine, Volodymyr Groysman, to Georgia. This visit is second in a row after a visit of the President Petro Poroshenko. Therefore, the agenda of this visit is primarily concentrated over the economic issues, and definitely one of the most important is trade between Georgia and Ukraine.
Okay.
And joint projects.
What about the trade cooperation with Georgia? Was it discussed already?
Yes, we already had 3 meetings today with President of Georgia, with the Prime Minister of Georgia, and with the head of the Parliament of Georgia. And bilateral trade is the top issue of the agenda. Both parties agreed that there is a lot of potential in terms of increasing bilateral trade, not only between Georgia and Ukraine, but also with the third countries, such as China, such as European Union, such as our neighboring partners in countries in Caucasus, and definitely our neighboring countries on the Black Sea.
What in particular is being planned for cooperation in these trade area, and by what time?
The major issue that affects our trade is that actually transit ban that Russian Federation introduced more than a year ago, and definitely this transit ban to Georgia affected our trade much. So one of the important topic of our agenda here is discussion of how we can increase capacities of our ports and ferries in Black Sea, and actually decrease the prices for transportation services, not only from Ukraine to Georgia, but also to Kazakhstan and to China.
This is very important, but was there also discussed the new Silk Road initiative?
Yes, actually, Silk Road, it's not only about transportation and road, it's also about cooperation, joint investment projects, but definitely the basis for the Silk Road is open transportation corridor from Ukraine, actually, but even further from Europe through the territory of Ukraine, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan to China. Therefore, the discussion during this meeting was also paid much how we can increase capacities of the transportation networks of Ukrainian ports, but also what are actually our joint advantage for bringing goods and services from Ukraine and Georgia to the countries in Asia. Definitely, first and foremost, to Chinese market, which is definitely the big one and very promising both for Ukraine and for Georgia.
Well, media is talking about Prime Minister Groysman announced deepening of cooperation in the agrarian sector, energy, tourism, and transportation. Well, we've talked about transportation of goods, but what in particular is planned for improvement, for example, in agrarian sector, in energy and tourism?
Definitely a lot of issues has been discussed today. I am, as a trade representative, would concentrate on commenting the issues related to bilateral trade with Georgia. Definitely agriculture, trade in agricultural goods is one of the most important for our countries, but there are much more areas that we can work in terms of our bilateral trade and trade with the third countries, where we can increase actually and establish joint projects such as machinery, such as production of food products, such as actually sale of services and trade in services. Because definitely in terms of digitalization and bringing new technologies to the countries that are on the way of this One Belt, One Road, there are a lot of opportunities both for Ukrainian business, but also for Chinese business investing in the countries and in the investment projects that are situated on the One Belt, One Road countries.
And are there more topics planned for discussion in the next days of your stay?
Tomorrow there will be a major event in Georgia, a big economic forum, One Belt, One Road. I will be speaking at the first panel devoted to how actually all the countries can benefit from this initiative established by Chinese government. I will be actually on the panel together with my colleagues from China, Georgia, was Middle East, in order to discuss how all the countries can work together in order to benefit from this initiative, but also what are the types of agreement we can establish or we can start negotiating in order for our business to establish a platform for our business to trade more.
And could you specify some biggest problems in the trade sector between Georgia and Ukraine and China up till now?
The biggest problem, and I would just repeat here, is the transportation issue and the issue of ban established by the Russian Federation, because that was an ordinary route for bringing Ukrainian goods to the Caucasus countries, but also to the countries in Asia. Therefore, now what we see, the major problem is the time of delivery and the cost of delivery of Ukrainian goods to those countries.
So are these discussions successful so far? Have you managed?
I think that when we have a high-level visit, the major actually attention is paid to the political dialogue and to establishing the major areas of cooperation. Thereafter, that is how actually will be our assignment, how to implement those actually negotiated agreements and what to do in practical terms in order to bring this political agreement to practical implementation. But there are some issues that already been discussed and where we can see a practical steps is, for example, Ukraine and Georgia could sign in a very soon future the protocol on using the rules of origin of Pan-Euro-Mediterranean Convention of Rules of Origin. This is very important document which would allow our companies to cooperate more and to become a part of the regional value chains in Europe.
Well, let's hope that the cooperation between the countries will strengthen all the economies involved. I mean, all the economies of all the countries involved. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
That was Natalia Mykolska, Deputy Minister of Economic Development and Trade of Ukraine. Thank you for watching Head to Head. I'm Oles Gerjuk. Goodbye.